formulas, I'm gonna take a formula leap until Wednesday and just give the first 10 minutes on Wednesday. So the formula sheet is gonna be different, so not gonna including on the test. So that way, it's more fair for you. So you had to finish in 45 minutes. That's more fair because you don't have to deal with formulas, but you still have to have those formulas memorized because you're gonna need to use it.
That's like the back of the unit circle.
Yes, and if you need a papers in the back. I basically just take that sheet of paper, ask you to do the rest of them. That's it.
If you get it wrong, it's getting
What?
if you like get anything wrong, it's ripping.
No, it's gonna get points off. All right, cosine 2x equal to -1. When does cosine of x? When does cosine value equal to -1? Pi, right? 2x equal to pi, right? 2x equal to, that's it. 2x equal to pi plus 2m pi. You divide it by 2 on all of them. So x equal to pi over 2 plus m pi. So therefore x equal to pi over 2 and x equal to 3 pi over 2. And there's only two answers. Wait, hold on a second. 2x. But yeah, this is only two answers because this one is on the one of the unique value. So this one doesn't really follow double situations. Because when n is equal to 1. N equal to 0 and n equal to 1.
So
You're gonna do the U thing.
Miranda?
can we not divide?
Can you what?
That's what
Can
I
we
did.
not divide the two?
You can.
You have to divide it 2. Because you're solving for x, you're not solving for 2x.
Yes, so it would be cosine of 2, and then just find x from this.
What?
Wait, when you divide the 2, it
Yeah.
would be cosine x equals -1/2.
Oh no, you don't. You have to get rid of cosine first. You have to get rid of cosine so you can do cosine inverse and cosine both sides. In this case, it's actually cosine inverse of -1, so it has to be at pi, and then you divide by 2 afterwards. You don't divide by 2 at the very beginning. You cannot divide by 2 like this. That's not make sense because the 2x here is argument. You cannot do that.
But since it's 2x, wouldn't it mean there's 4 answers? That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
That's just a negative.
Yes, it should have two answers if it's any other value besides -1. -1 is only one answer because a lot of time that you say cosine of x equal to 1/2, right? That's gonna be two answers. And then if you add m pi, it's gonna give you 4 answers. But this one's equal to -1. There's only one single value. I think most cases. In most cases, it's gonna be double. In this case, it's not. Yes.
Can you go over question 37?
Yeah. What do you want to know for 37? Oh, okay. All the things. Okay, so that's fine. Tangent A.
For the last one, you just stop before it goes to 2 pi.
Yeah. So tangent of A is equal to -3, and they are between which quadrant? Second quadrant, right? Does that make sense? And the B is equal to cotangent of B is equal to -3, and this at which quadrant? Fourth quadrant, right? So tangent of A, second quadrant, and this is gonna be 3 -1. Does that make sense? It has to be -1, and this is A, and this is square root 10, I believe. And this is the fourth quadrant here. So this is the 3, and this is -1. Yeah, x over y. So that's B, and the square root 10 as well. Is that okay? Somebody open the door for him. And they ask what is sine of A plus B. So A plus B here, that's gonna be sine, cosine, cosine, sine. And this is A, B, and this is a plus. So sine of A is equal to 3 over root 10. Cosine of B is what? 3 over root 10 plus cosine of A -1 over root 10 plus, no, times. Cosine of b is what? No, actually, we do sine of b, negative 1 over root 10, right? So this actually end up to be 10 over 9. This one is going to be plus 1 over 10. So that actually is equal to 1. Oh my god, that's an easy answer. Oh, okay. The quadrants? Did you make a mistake
oh,
on
no,
the
with
quadrant?
like the number -3. I thought it said square root of -3, so I was using it.
Okay. Yes.
Can you go over the where it says cosine b over 2?
Cosine
could just
of,
use that
wait, which one?
Half angle.
Oh, yeah, don't worry about cosine b over 2. We're not talking about half angle.
I'm trying to figure that out. And I thought, what about how do I do it?
Yeah, it basically just use the half angle formula.
Oh, what about the like sine 2a thing?
Sine 2a is 2 sine a cosine a. Okay, sine of 2a is equal to 2 sine a cosine a. So it'll be 2 sine a, which is sine a. Sine is going to be 3 over square root of 10. And the cosine of a is going to be negative 1 over square root of 10. So that's going to be negative 6 over 10. So it'll be negative 3 over 5. Yes, Amelia?
Can you go over 57?
57. Oh, I like 57. Okay. 57 is on the last test. Or something similar to it. I think you also struggle in the last test on the same questions, if I remember. So basically, always think of algebra rather than thinking of things. So you always move this to the other side. So it'll be 10x minus 2 cosine of x, 10 of x is equal to 0. Does that make sense? Now, what kind of algebra I can do here? You can take out 10 of x, and then that's going to be 1 minus 2 cosine of x. And the 10 of x equal to 0. It's only happen at 0, pi, and 2 pi. Because that's when y value is equal to 0. 1 minus 2 cosine of x equal to 0. So it'll be 1 equal to 2 cosine of x. Cosine of x equal to 1/2. And that's equal to pi over 3 and pi over 3. So this should be all those answer. I would tell you 61's on the test. Did I ask you 61? 61, 62, they are good questions. Do you know how to do 61? Do you know how to do them though?
Raise cosine 2x. No cosine a cosine a pi b 0 pi over 3 pi.
Okay, I'll let you have a time to do them. Do you know how to do them? Cosine of 2x minus sine of x equal to 1. 59, 61, 62, they are all very, very good questions.
Minus 1. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Cosine of 2x. Well, the problem is cosine of 2x and sine of x is not the same type of trig functions, right? So Emily, what would you suggest?
Well, we're gonna make that. I make the cosine
How do I do that?
well, you're gonna need to first, since we have the cosine of 2x, we can take that. Since we know the cosine of 2x, I believe one of the
Double angle identity, good.
Yeah.
What would it be? There are 3 different versions of that.
it would be the. I think it would be 1 minus 2 sine of x.
2 sine square of x.
And you can just.
Yeah, so this 1 and 1 cancel out, right? So it'd be minus 2 sine square of x minus sine of x is equal to 0. What can I do here? Factor out sine of x. Good. So that's going to be negative 2 sine of x minus 1 equal to 0. sine of x equal to 0, x equal to 0, pi, and 2 pi. Sine of x equal to negative 1/2 in this case, so x equal to 7 pi over 6, and 5 pi over, no, 11 pi over 6, I lied. Negative 2 sine of x minus 1. I factor out sine of x. This is a great question. Yes?
Why do you have to put x is equal to 0?
Depends. The question says between 0 to 2 pi. So between 0 to 2 pi. So you should including 0. You should include, but you don't need including 2 pi. So it'd be 0 pi, 7 pi over 6, and 11 pi over 6. $62 is also a good question as well. Did you guys get 62? Yeah, that's why they don't including 2 pi. It's 0 and 2 pi. 2 pi is a parentheses. Do you see that this is the question is 0 to 0 including, but 2 pi is not including. Any other question you want me to go over?
Let's do 62.
How about you do them?
Because I'm not getting my.
I'll write down a question just for you. See how nice I am? Sine of 2x equal to root 3 sine of x. That's actually a good question. Let me see this one.
What does that say, root 3?
Root 3 sine of x.
Wait, is that sine like to the square power?
Sine no 2x.
Or you just go back?
Sine 2x is sine 2 sine, and then it's square root of 3 times sine x, but it's sine
But I don't know why you use it.
Like they got sine x. Yeah, I see. Yeah, like you take that sine x before a double angle.
Actually, I can go over it now.
Can you do it first?
Well, it doesn't make sense.
Do you have yes?
You have to write it down. Huh? You can check it in John Desmond.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
At least your work. Oh, okay. See, the way Mr. J wrote it made it look.
Yours makes sense. Okay. Let me see if I got it right.
I don't know, I looked at it, and I don't.
Sine.
So you saw credit to the other guy, so we did the other guy. 5 or 6
Yeah.
This is hard. You just have to know your double angle identity. So even though I didn't test you tomorrow, you still have to know those double angle identity or sum and difference identity. So this one, obviously you can move to the other side first. And square root 3 sine of x, that's minus, is equal to 0. But the problem is you cannot factor out sine of x because one of them is sine of 2x. This is the argument. This cannot change. It cannot break apart. So what you can do is using the double angle identity. So that's going to be 2 sine of x cosine of x. Minus square root 3 sine of x is equal to 0. So now we can factor out sine of x. That's going to be 2 cosine of x minus root 3. And sine of x is equal to 0, which has happened at 0 and pi. And the 2 cosine of x minus root 3 equal to 0. So cosine of x equal to root 3 over 2. So I think this is pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. Is that right? Yeah, so let's talk about what's on the test that you have to know. Start deal with circles. Do you know how to complete the equation for circle? Because this is going to be on SAT. So start with the circle equation. I'm going to just give it to you. Do you know how to complete the square? So do you know how to complete the square? Do you guys know? 6y. Do you know how to find center of the circle? Do you know how to find? So I will ask you, like, I'll give you 2 questions for you to practice. Make sure you're good at it. So in case you need it, because this is the kind of old stuff. But this is one that's on the SAT, so you have to know it. So I can ask you the center. I can ask you the radius. I can ask you the circumference of a circle. I can ask you area of a circle. Right? So I can ask you lots of things. So this is algebra 2 stuff that you need to know for SAT. SAT, you need to know this. What else do you need to know for SAT? Arc length. Do you guys remember arc length? And the area of sectors? So let's just say if I have area like this, let's say this is 80 degrees, and this radius is 10. So can you figure out A, C, B? So can you figure out the area of a sector? And the arc length. Do you know what's difference? So A and B. So do you know how to find those 2? Yes. No, diameter times pi. It's 2 pi r. Now remember, it's a percentage of the circle, right? We have some SAT question about this. So those are SAT questions. So I will say this is a 1, this is a 2, and this is 3. Do you know how to do this? So this is the older stuff that you're supposed to know. Let's just say if I have a, I don't know, 24-inch diameter tire, rotating at, I don't know, 800 RPM, revolution per minutes. Can you find out the angular velocity? Can you find out what is linear velocity? You might need to use calculator, but I might just need to ask you to set up. That's it. If you don't have a calculator. Is this okay? Yes. 80 degrees. The central angle is 80 degrees. Remember, it's a percentage of circle multiplied by area of circle is going to get area of sector. And percentage of circle multiplied by the circumference is going to get you arc length. Or you can use the second data is S equal to arc data. That's another way to find things. So this is older stuff that you might already forgot that will be on the test, but you really need to know the SAT stuff, which is how do you complete the squares, how to do other things. More recent stuff I will ask you is sum and difference formula. So sum and difference formula, like say, I can ask you what is a cosine of 195 degrees. Do you guys know how to do that, right? I can ask you how to say, you know, a sine of 7 pi over 12. Break down to two things, and you can add and subtract. I can even ask things backwards. So that's a C, can I ask you, I don't know, cosine of, I don't know. Let me get to that question. Cosine of 5 pi over 18. Cosine of pi over 9 plus sine of 5 pi over 18. Sine of pi over 9. And yeah, this is going to be one of the questions. Can you ask the evaluation? Of course, I can ask you evaluation. I can ask you solve equation, bunch solve equation like this one. And I ask you says, you know, this one is kind of probably going to be the hardest one. You had to try different ends. Is equal to, I don't know, negative half. Sine of 3x equal to negative half. How many ends are they? 6. Do you know how to find all 6? So solving equation. Can I ask you? Can I ask you? Says 2 sine squared. This is on the last test. Minus 3 cosine of x equal to 0. You can change this 2 sine squared into something else. Becomes factorable. And this is on the last test as well. Is a 4 cosine square of x minus 1 is equal to 0. There are total how many answers here? You should get 4 because you had to worry about plus minus. D, you can have sine of 2x equal to root 3 cosine of x. This is a yesterday's homework. I think that's a very good question. I honestly like it. So this is the most recent stuff. If I ask you triangle, and if it's calculator, do you know how to find like angle elevation stuff? Do you remember those? Okay, so that's a, if I have a angle of elevation is equal to, let's say it's 28 degrees. to the top of the tower, top of the tower. So top of the tower. So you kind of draw a tower, right? And this is 28 degrees, right? And let's say if the horizontal distance is, I don't know, 225. And can you find out how high the building is? Do you know how to do that? Can you find the height of the building? You can find it right now. Height of the building. How do you find the height of this building? Do you guys know how to do it? Try it now. So angle of elevation is 28 degrees to the top of the top of the tower, and horizontal distance is 225. So horizontal distance is 225. Can you find the height of the building? Everybody should be able to find it right here. I can also ask you the other way too. I can ask you, so A is like this. Can I ask you like something like this? What is this? Is 100, and this is 60. So can you figure out what the angle elevation is? Can you find an angle? So I can ask you that as well. Anybody find the first one? How tall the building is? Anybody got 119 feet? No? 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 You don't know how to do it?
Of 28.
What do you say?
We have degrees. 225. You're looking for this tangent of 28 degrees. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So x over 20, y over 25. Multiply 225 to the other side. Yeah.
But how do you know if I'm tangent?
Looking for 5. Because that's the height of the building.
Height of the tower is y. I can give you this length too. I can give you this length and the other length. Then you're gonna use cosine. Because you don't have hypotenuse. If you have hypotenuse, you can use sine.
That's what you just said. You don't have the hypotenuse, you can't use sine. That's why you used it?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
So look at this. This is a giving, right? This is a known. So how you had to use like whatever they give it to you. I didn't give you a hypotenuse, so therefore you cannot use sine or cosine. If I give you hypotenuse, then you have adjacent, then you can use cosine. So depending on what you're using. Now this second case is I give you what? What kind of trig function I'll be using? Yeah, so cosine of theta equal to what? Six over what? 6 over 10, right? 2 over 5. 3 over 5, good. And how do you get the data? What kind of key you had to press on the calculator? Okay, guys. Yeah, inverse. Sine of data equal to 60 over 100. In order to get data, you have to do sine inverse of sine. And that's the sine inverse of 60 over 100. And then data is equal to sine inverse of 3 over 5, which is whatever the angle is on the calculator. Because you're trying to find an angle. You're trying to get rid of sine, but you cannot divide by sine on both sides. You have to get rid of sine by using inverse function. It's 36 degrees?
37.
37 degrees. Depends on which function, which side I give it to you. You have to use the proper trig functions. Okay, what else do you need to know? Oh, you're not done.
Wait.
Do you know what is the sine inverse of negative square root 2 over 2? Winston, don't say it. I need other people to know it. I know you know it. I need the rest of you guys to know like easy question like this. Okay, Cindy, go ahead. Yes, you got one question correct. Good job.
Because the restriction.
Yeah, she knows what she's doing. Can I give you says can I give you sine inverse of cosine of 2 pi over 3? So can I ask you double layers?
Let's say 2 pi over 3.
Hmm?
What is that thing? Oh, sorry. They thought there was a 0 in parentheses. No offense.
Restriction.
Pi over 3. Negative say pi over 3.
Yeah.
Not pi over 6.
Negative pi over 6.
Negative pi over 6. Start with what's cosine of 2 pi over 3 first.
Oh, I was wrong. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's fine. We're rather be wrong here right now than tomorrow. So now know how to fix it. What's cosine 2 pi over 3? What's cosine 2 pi over 2? Negative 1/2. What is sine inverse of negative half? No. Negative pi over 6. Good. That's it. And that's how you get an answer right away. What else that function that we give out? Let's see. Let's check. This is a good worksheet because I can get a bunch of questions from here. So probably something like, can I ask you that says sine inverse of negative 4 sine, so sine inverse of negative 4 over 5 and cosine of this. Do you guys know how to do this? How do I do it? Good, good, good. Which quadrant do I graph it?
The fourth one.
I like that. Fourth one is good. It's a negative 4. This is a 5. What's the other side?
3.
Good. 3, 4, 5 triangle. So that's that.
Oh, because it's negative. It'd be negative. You could have
So this sine inverse is this quadrant, and sine is negative is this quadrant. So I know it's that fourth quadrant. And I can figure out, oh, okay, the cosine of that is 3 over 5, so the answer is 3 over 5. You remember done this? Can I give you another one? Sure. 10 inverse of 7/5 negative, and I can ask you sine of this. When's 10 inverse negative? Which quadrant? Good. Well, 10 inverse is this two quadrant, 10 inverse is negative is this quadrant. Am I going too fast? Triangle. This is a 7. This is a 5. Which one's negative? 7. I can put a negative sign in the front. You have to decide it's below x-axis. 7 has to be negative. You can figure out this is 49 plus 25. 74. Square root of 74. And sine of that is going to be negative 7 over root 74. So that is the final answer. Good? Yeah, this is the opposite. This is TOA. Opposite of adjacent. Yeah, I mean, if you got here, then I will rationalize it. Can it be like something like this? Cosine of 2x over 5 inverse, and can I ask you like tangent of that? And this is gonna be expression situations. So your final answer should be an expression. You remember this? Can you do it? This is all from your homework. If you do your homework, you're doing great. Just go back and look at your homework. You never need a study for math tests. You just have to make sure you do your homework right. I mean, smart students don't study for the test. Smart students just make sure their homework's right. And go back to make sure all their homework they know how to do. You guys remember how to do this? Obviously this one I'm gonna do on the first quadrant. This is a 2x, this is a 5. But we need to figure out what z is. What is z? Well, z squared plus 2x squared is equal to 25. But z squared is equal to 25 minus 4x squared. Does that make sense? Did you get that? And then you say, oh, okay, well, what's tangent of theta? Well, tangent theta is equal to square root of 25 minus x squared over 2x. And that's the final answer. You guys got it? Fairly easy. So lastly, I'll ask you like just like yesterday's homework. Do you know what's I give you angle A and angle B, and I'll ask you the difference between.
Can you go over the purple problem?
Sure, which one? First one? Okay, let's do that.
No, can you do like area of a circle?
Area of a circle? Well, you just find out what is the radius is. Once you find the radius, then you can do pi r square. Do you know how to complete a square here? Okay, so it'll be x squared minus 10x plus y squared minus 6y equal to 30, right? So I'm going to do minus 10 divided by 2 squared. So that's what, 25? And this is minus 6 divided by 2. That's equal to negative 3 squared. That's equal to 9. So it'll be x squared minus 10x plus 25 plus y squared minus 6y plus 9. And the other side is 25 plus 9. And that's equal to what? Oh, this is 30, sorry.
Yep.
And 64. So it'll be x minus 5 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to 64. Radius is equal to 8. Center is 5, 3. And then area of a circle is a pi r squared. So that's going to be 64 pi. Pi r squared is d pi, so it'll be diameter times pi, so it'll be 16 pi for circumference. So remember, SAT, they don't just ask you where the center is, or they don't ask just radius. They can ask you what is the area of that particular circle, or they can ask you the circumference of that particular circle. So they'll correlate two ideas into one.
Can you do area of
Area of sector is a percentage over percentage of a circle times the pi r squared. So in this case, it'll be 80 over 360 times by pi r squared times 100 pi. And you just need to know how to simplify that.
Wait, is that for the area of sector? Or
Yeah, that's the area of a sector. Now, for arc length, is the circumference. It's a percentage times the circumference.
so whatever you get for area of sector?
Wait, and then the R is 10.
Or it's 10 because, yeah, this is from here is 10. This is 10. This is all the homework you've done before. It's not, I didn't give you any like crazy homework.
So you multiply the percentage.
And then you
Do you know how to figure out RPM to linear velocity and angular velocity? Angular velocity, I'm more likely to ask you something per minute, like how much angle per minute rather than angle per second. You can see how many angle per minute or angle per hour. But each rotation's revolutions for 2 pi.
So you're gonna send this through WhatsApp.
I can.
got that, Sam?
I can airdrop to you right now, so if you want to wait a little bit. And also including the stuff on yesterday's homework, okay? Including yesterday's stuff on homework.